Dark Souls has some of the most iconic bosses in the series, but do they have what it takes to beat the game? In this video, I'll be taking control of random bosses and using them to try and answer that question. If I die at any point during this challenge, then the boss I'm playing as is permanently dead, and this video will not end until I've defeated Manus or run out of bosses to play as. Enjoy. Welcome back to Amazing Chest. I'm on a quest to beat Dark Souls, playing as every single boss, and if that sounds like fun to you, then go ahead and subscribe because YouTube doesn't always recommend. In this video, we'll be playing as random bosses, and it looks like I started as Gwendolyn. Basically, I'm spinning a wheel with all the bosses on it off screen, and whatever it lands on is the one I have to play as. If I happen to die while playing as that boss, then I will randomly become a new one. My first goal was simple. I had to escape the asylum by defeating its resident demon. This should be easy for a mid-game boss like Gwendolyn. He's got powerful magic, a decent health pool, and a lot of ranged options. There's just one small problem though. Projectile attacks don't work properly when bosses are outside of their arenas, so Gwendolyn's entire moveset was basically useless. At this point, all I could do was helplessly watch the asylum demon slowly beat me to death with his hammer, and because our scaling is so much higher, it took a while for us to die. What a great start to the run. After that, the next boss that was randomly generated was Gravelord Nito, I think. One of the four lords himself and my personal favorite DS1 boss. Provided that our attacks work correctly, we shouldn't have a problem here. Despite Nito's cloak particles going missing and exposing his bare skeleton to the world in ways that nobody really asked to see, his combat worked perfectly. 3 hits was all it took and the asylum demon was no more. With the tutorial boss down, we could finally get this run started. Despite the Gwendolyn incident, getting Nito this early is genuinely lucky. And having a lord before even leaving the burg is just the kind of luck that this run was going to need if we were going to make it. Our next goal was simple. We needed to beat the Taurus demon and ring the first bell. It's worth mentioning that obviously this game isn't meant to be played as bosses, so for example, bosses can't use ladders or interact with most things, at least not yet. I'm working on it, so I will have to skip certain parts of the run just so that it can actually be completed. As I develop the mod further, then that shouldn't be a problem, and as soon as it's ready, I'll make it available to all of you guys. With that said, Nito isn't exactly a powerhouse, but his health pool can tank just about anything, especially this early in the game. The only real threat would be getting hit from attacks that have multiple hitboxes because his model is so huge. Fortunately, the Taurus demon doesn't have anything like that, so we should be fine, but time will tell. For what we were able to get through, given Nito's size, the burg required some creative parkour. Once I had gotten through what was possible, I found myself at the Taurus demon fight, and I started off with the Gravelord dance. Just like Gwendolyn, projectiles just weren't going to work outside of his arena. That didn't really matter though, because Nito's blade took 40% of the Taurus's health in just one hit. The demon started walking back in horror, and honestly, I couldn't blame him. With the Taurus demon down, our next goal was to take out the gargoyles and ring the bell. That was going to require us to cross the bridge, and Nito should be able to survive the flames. Alright, so I did die there, but honestly, that's what I love about this game. Every death is information. Every loss, a step in the right direction. People think this game is about difficulty, but it's not. It's about learning. You fail, you adapt, you overcome. Just like Dark Souls, life isn't fair.
At all. At all. So what are you gonna do about it?
Download boot.dev. Learning how to code has never been easier with this video sponsor, boot.dev. They teach backend development in Python, SQL, and Go by having you actually write the code from day one. No boring tutorials, no falling asleep to lecture videos. You learn by actually doing. And because they know their audience, they made the whole thing feel like an RPG. You earn XP, level up, unlock achievements, complete quests, and there's even boss fights and leaderboards. They just launched the training grounds too, infinite practice challenges so you can drill whatever's giving you trouble until it finally clicks. Sound familiar? If you get stuck, then there's Boots, an AI bear wizard tutor trained on every single lesson. He won't just hand you the answer, he'll ask you questions to nudge you forward. There's also a Discord full of real people ready to help. All courses are completely free to read and watch, but membership unlocks the hands-on coding and full experience. Use my code for 25% off your first year and click the link down in the description. Let's get back to the video. As it turns out, because we're so big and the flames have multiple multiple hitboxes, Nito did not survive. But that's okay because we've been reincarnated as Executioner Smo. We absolutely destroy the archers while the dragon just watches for some reason, and I make it across the bridge without much trouble. After one-shotting the boar with a charge, I barely make it through the gate, and this was actually kind of risky because the gate can be used to kill the boar. That means if it happened to hit us, then it might have done thousands of damage, but I guess we'll never know. We unfortunately had to skip most of the parish because I just couldn't squeeze them in, but after making it to the rooftop, playtime was over. The gargoyle fight starts off badly. Surprisingly, Smo gets poise broken in only 2 hits. I responded with some massive hammer swings and I managed to 4-shot the first gargoyle. When the second one comes in, we go for our jumping slam and they didn't even stand a chance. After beating the gargoyles and ringing the first bell, I decided to book a trip to Australia. I still needed to ring the second bell, so Blighttown and Quelaag were up next. This is where the run gets harder. Quelaag is always a problem because she has infinite poise unless you hit her human body, plus her lava puddle stunlock bosses easily. Smo is still Smo though, so we should have a chance provided we can actually get there. I made my way down the Blighttown platforms until I hit a dead end. Poisoned and out of ideas, I went for a charge to the elevator wheel and it actually worked. Charged through the swamp fast enough to avoid getting poisoned a second time, and before you knew it, we were already at Quelaag. She started the fight by spitting lava, but I poised through it and took half her health in just 1 hit. She broke my poise in return, and then I hit her with a hammer smash that pretty much won us the fight. Until she covered the ground with lava. I took massive damage from this and got my poise broken twice trying to escape. Just like that, Smo was gone. We spawned in as crossbreed Priscilla, everyone's favorite DS1 princess. I opened with a snow wave, which was invisible but actually did damage. Priscilla is super fast and was able to get behind Quelaag easily and land a bunch of scythe hits in the process. She tried throwing fire everywhere again, but we were casting ice from far away, and a few more swings of my scythe managed to bring the spider down. With the second bell rung, Sin's fortress was now open, only instead of heading there now, I wanted to beat Ceaseless first. We needed him dead to clear the lava blocking Ceaseless, and there was no guarantee that we'd have a fast enough boss to do it later on, so it was now or never. If you fight him normally, then Ceaseless is a nightmare. He's got a huge health pool and massive damage. Luckily, his slams are telegraphed enough that a fast boss can get around them though. We stole his dead sister's clothes, ran back toward the fog wall, and waited for him to follow. I was determined to cheese him this time around, but there was a small problem. As he reached out in a last-ditch effort to get his sister's stuff back, I tried to give him the Leonidas treatment, and unfortunately the cheese doesn't work for controlled enemies. He still couldn't fight back though, so I just kept attacking him until he eventually died. Up next, we had to survive Sin's fortress so we could defeat the golem on the roof and access Anor Londo. The fight against the iron golem could go either way. He could poise through all of our attacks, or come on bro, really? You think I don't see what you're looking at? My eyes are up here. My eyes are up here. For what she was able to accomplish, Priscilla was great at maneuvering the fortress, alternating between her sprint and walk to get around the swinging axes. We had a little scare on the rafters due to her speed, but we did make it out alive. I opened the golem fight with our snow trail since it damages his feet directly. He does like a fifth of our health in a single swing, but my plan worked out perfectly and eventually he started to lose balance. After breaking his legs, he was pretty much useless and I was able to finish him off. Home sweet home. Allegedly, Priscilla is the granddaughter of Gwyn, so it's reasonable to assume that she might have visited the city at some point. Next up was Ornstein and Smo. Priscilla could probably take him one-on-one, but fighting both at the same time was risky. The plan was to spam snow trails so I could damage them both and then kill whoever got lower first. We took out a gargoyle, then did some parkour on the rafters of the church. Our home might be down on the ground floor, but we were not in a rush to get there. Being very careful with Priscilla's speed, I tiptoed across the beams like I was walking on a tightrope. Somehow, I even managed to kill a painting guardian too. The second one fell to his death, and then so did we. This was heartbreaking, and honestly, I still haven't recovered from it. Priscilla really let me down. Get it? Because of the rafters and the... Sorry. We spawned in at the top of the rafters as a demon, and I really hoped it wasn't that demon, because that would really suck. Thanks to Priscilla, the painting guardians were gone, and we made it across the rafters safely. Kind of. Further in the city, the second gargoyle spotted us, and half of our health disappeared instantly. It was definitely that demon. It was the asylum demon. This was not good. Panicking, I ran straight past it and right into the loving arms of 2 sentinels. Next, we spawned in as the Moonlight Butterfly. Not much better than the Asylum Demon, but I didn't want to waste this opportunity, so I flew over the infamous Silver Knights, made my way around the balcony, and landed on the roof above. I tried fighting the Knights up top, but the Moonlight Butterfly is not built for hand-to-hand combat. That brought us to Quelaag. She was perfect because her moveset had exactly what I needed to keep up with the duo, but only if I played perfectly. When the fight started, I spat lava and caught Ornstein off guard for some good damage. Smoke got lucky and hit my human form, which did over 500 damage, so I started placing lava pools around the arena while Ornstein chased me down. Smoke walked right into one and just stood there. By the time I looped back around, he was basically dead. Super Ornstein showed up after the transition and I was already at half health. I stacked lava pools while dodging his lightning attacks, which all seemed to hit for 500 each. One hit away from death, I ducked behind a pillar and prayed that he would follow. He got stuck in a corner instead, and that's when the lava did its thing. After picking up the Lord Vessel from the channel's mascot, I reminded myself that size didn't matter and made my way over to... Seriously? The demon ruins were a victory lap. We needed our first Lord Soul, but the Fire Sage and Centipede demon were standing in the way. Quelaag is completely immune to fire, so the lava didn't bother us and the demon statues couldn't touch me at all. Their main damage is fire, which Quelaag doesn't really care about at all, and for some reason the Fire Sage is actually weak to fire, so this should be easy. The bed of chaos was the real question mark, but I figured I'd cross that lava when I get there. Being in the right area meant the lava pools actually worked, which was nice. The Fire Sage actually hit pretty hard, so I backed away from his hammer swings and he walked right into the lava trying to follow me. I ran back in to body block him, and after a few sword swings, the lava finished him off. The Centipede Demon's lava floor meant nothing to Quelaag, but his arm extension took away a third of my HP almost immediately. Pincer attacks from the side worked well, even though the slow windup got me hit a couple of times, but eventually I dodged his body slam, tanked his fireball, and finished him with one more pincer. Then came the bed of chaos. Most controlled enemies can't navigate between the branches or fit inside the tunnel to kill the chaos bug. Quelaag was able to get both side routes destroyed, but when the platform finally shattered, that was it. I couldn't go any further. I threw lava in the tunnel hoping for a miracle, but nothing ever happened, so I jumped into the void. Spawning in as one of the 4 kings was very unexpected. These guys are surprisingly fast, and I took heavy damage trying to reach the center. I thought I could maybe squeeze into the tunnel, but I got stuck about a quarter of the way in. I even tried magic to snipe the chaos bug, but I just couldn't reach it, and I ended up dying to a firestorm. That's when Dragon Slayer Ornstein showed up. The first thing I did was check to see if I could fit in the tunnel. A few spear thrusts got me through the branches, and one clean swing took out the chaos bug. It took 2 bosses to make it happen, but Ornstein finally got the kill. With 3 Lord Souls remaining, Gravelord Nito was up next, and that meant we had to get through the catacombs and defeat Pinwheel. Ornstein is the captain of the 4 Knights of Gwyn, so even with mid-game scaling, he's got quick combos, solid poise damage, and a secret weapon that you'll see in just a moment. The only real risk was his low health pool, but as long as I played smart, then we should be fine. I dispatched the skeletons and nailed the catacombs parkour skip. The bone wheel section wasn't worth the hassle, so I just supercharged through it. This is the secret weapon I was talking about, and the crazy thing about it is that it actually has iframes. I supercharged into Pinwheel next, and he was already down to half. His flamethrower poise broke me, and then he distracted me with some clones and teleported away. I charged at him again across the arena, and that finished him off. That fight went pretty well, but the clones made me realize something. Ornstein struggles with multiple enemies, and Nito has a horde of skeletons that keep coming back. The good news is I could one-shot those skeletons. Charging into Nito barely dented his massive health pool, but I could back hop so fast that his attacks didn't matter. I baited the skeletons close to Nito and then triggered his AoE so he could kill them himself. Supercharging away let me dodge it, and the iframes kept me alive. Eventually, Nito kept one-shotting his own skeletons and giving me free damage opportunities, so after an uppercut he was done, and our second Lord Soul was in the bag. With Nito down, I stopped by the Firekeeper and headed into the Duke's archives. My next goal was Seath, Gwyn's former advisor and the 3rd Lord Soul. The fight itself should be easy considering Ornstein's mobility. The problem was going to be the archives themselves. Crystal enemies in there hit insanely hard, and Ornstein is a glass cannon. I made it to Seath's audience chamber and figured maybe I could use my status as captain to negotiate, try to convince him to die for the greater good. It didn't work. For the record, that scripted death doesn't count in deathless runs, so we're not going to be counting it here either. I killed the sleeping sentinel, grabbed the key, and supercharged down the stairs. This will never get old. Things went wrong in the main hall. I charged into a wall going for a channeler and got hit by another off screen. The first one buffed me with his ritual, which was kind of nice. I started one-shotting everything with it, but I also took heavy damage in return. I dropped onto the last staircase, charged at the channeler, and died half a second too soon. That was the final enemy too. If I didn't take that damage earlier, then I would still be alive. Seath spawned in next. Great boss, don't get me wrong, but losing Ornstein like that stung. I speed ran through the crystal cave in under a minute and entered Seath's arena angry. Seath was raised to fight the horrors of the abyss, and Seath is just a sitting duck by comparison. I ran laps around him, landing double spins on his tails over and over again. Back hopping his attacks and sprinting back in, I was basically playing with my food. One more double spin and Seath went down. There was only one Lord Soul left, and it was at the bottom of the abyss. The four kings were waiting, but honestly, this is what Seath was made for. Artorias trained this wolf to hunt abyss creatures, so this matchup just felt right. Ingward recognized us and handed over the key to the seal. I drained the water from New Londo, descended into the drowned ruins, and fought the dark wraiths on the way down. The four kings fight started strong. Double spins, back hops, gap closers, and the first king was at half within seconds. I even managed to outspace his magic before finishing him off with another double spin. The second king tried more magic, but I was able to outrun it and the projectiles just flew off into the void. The whole fight was a DPS race, and I stayed ahead the entire time. With the third king down, I missed my window to hit the death animation, so I had to wait for the fourth to spawn. One more swing and the four kings were done. With all of the Lord Souls collected, the kiln was finally open, and now we needed to defeat Gwyn before diving into the DLC. Problem with Seath's size though. The arena is small and Gwyn never stops chasing you down, so hit and run tactics were not going to work well in that space. Even if Seath didn't make it though, we were down to a handful of bosses left, and one of them was guaranteed to win if we were lucky enough to land on him. I ran past all the Black Knights since fighting Gwyn hurt was not an option. Unfortunately though, Seath's model is too large to navigate the beams, and I ended up falling to my death. OBS also glitched out while I was recording this. The Capra demon spawned in next. He's nimble enough to dodge the Black Knights, but beating Gwyn, no shot. I back hopped the opening swipe, tried a jump attack, and instantly died. Then I spawned in as Gwyn. This was not who I was hoping to get, but this was actually perfect. We both went for the opening jump attack, but I landed behind him and snuck in a 3-hit combo. I tried to style on him with some cut content, but whiffed the grab and he made me pay with 4 hits that broke my poise. Both at half health, the fight got intense. I kept disengaging and jumping back in until I caught him with a 2-handed combo, and that won us the fight. Having successfully out-Gwyn the actual Gwyn, the main game was done and only the 4 DLC bosses remained. The plan now was to fight through Ulasil as Gwyn and eventually take on Manus himself. Unsurprisingly, Gwyn was a powerhouse who completely dominates anything in the main game. He had everything: combos, survivability, movement speed, and some of his cut content animations are actually incredible. I'm thinking this disengage might have been a reaction to getting parried, but they probably had to remove it because he was too strong. That said, DLC bosses are way stronger than the main game, and as we all know, Gwyn is terrified of the dark. Let's see how this goes. I got everything I needed for the DLC, and Manus pulled me into the time portal. I landed in the Sanctuary Garden where the Guardian was waiting for me. We both missed our opening attacks. I went back in with a thrust and slipped past his kick. The Guardian doesn't have much health for a DLC boss, so every hit was doing good damage. I dodged through his lightning, got to his side, and a quick combo took him out. Up next was Artorias, and he's actually the one who I was hoping to get for the Gwyn fight earlier. He hits hard, moves fast, and has more health than me since he's a DLC boss. Gwyn does have crazy damage though. If I could dodge his combos and stop him from getting his Abyss buff off, then this was winnable. But I knew that would change as soon as he buffed, so I went all out trying to kill him before that could happen. I took a beating, but still managed to break his poise and get him under half. It didn't matter though, because he went for it anyway and I couldn't stagger him out of it. I was forced to retreat. His flip attack hit extremely hard and I jumped under his body slam, which probably would have killed me. My poise damage saved me though, and I broke his poise for a combo. I went in for the kill, but he caught me first, and that was the end of the fight. Or at least it should have been, but the Abyss made him roar instead of attacking me. That one was really close, and if I didn't get lucky at the end there, then we would have lost Gwyn. Only 2 bosses left and Calamite was up next. On paper, this should be easier than Artorias. As long as I didn't get caught in his dark fire, then this should be fine. My real concern was the boss that was coming up after him. I asked Go for help and he shot Calamite out of the sky. Pretty impressive for a guy who can't see. On the way down, I ran into a dog who was so small that Gwyn literally couldn't hit it. Just stood there while I whiffed over and over again. Against Calamite, I went in for a jumping swipe. He flew up, dove down, and broke my poise immediately. I hit him during a grab attempt since bosses can't be grabbed, but the damage wasn't that great though. Calamite's actually super resistant to fire, and that did not work out in our favor. Speaking of fire, I got greedy and got caught in his fire breath, losing over 1300 health in just seconds. I barely outran another one and just kept hitting his heads until he did his stationary stoop, which you almost never get to see. He jumped forward, broke my poise, and comboed me into more fire. I tried to escape his diving sweep, but he landed on me and stomped. Almost dead, I jumped away from another flame breath, and that's when he hit me with an unexpected attack. Honestly, I completely forgot that attack existed, and then I spawned in as Seath. No idea how Seath wins this, but I went for it anyway. Calamite hit me with 2 fire breaths, and I was kinda hoping his fire countered his magic since Seath resists that. I laid some crystals under him and the damage was bad. I tried to run for it and got blinded by my own crystals. That's when I realized Seath was still healthy, and this makes me think that his fire might actually be magic damage. With Calamite behind me, I went for the tail slam and the damage was ridiculous. His model is so big that he gets hit by each tail every single time. Thanks to that move alone, we were able to clutch this out, and even though this fight was hard, getting through Ceaseless was even harder. Listen, there was no way Seath was getting through Ceaseless, but we gave it a shot anyway. He could one-shot most of the residents and the crystals took care of the rest. The stairs leading into Ceaseless were a headache to navigate, but I did eventually make it through. A few enemies fell off trying to hit me, and I pushed off a witch myself. While I was watching another resident fall, I accidentally slipped off too, and that was the end of Seath. The plot armor kicked in and I respawned as Artorias. He's the perfect candidate for Manus, and while he did lose this fight in the lore, with me controlling him, we could rewrite history. I killed the residents before their dark beads could shred me, and there was a prisoner guarding the lift, so I took him out first. The abyss is unsurprisingly dark without a player's glow, but the humanities helped light the way. Eventually though, I cleared them, killed the witch, and made it to the fog wall. Wasting no time at all, I opened with the abyss buff and did a flip which hit hard. We traded blows for a bit before he went into phase 2 and started casting dark sorceries. I tanked his dark rain and tried to buff again, but his attack interrupted me. We were getting dangerously low and a dark bead was all it was going to take to end it. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, then like the video and don't forget to subscribe because YouTube doesn't always recommend.
Bye-bye.